Sorry, I didn't give you 1 minute, but I gave you a 2 minute. All right. Good evening, everyone. I call the City Council Committee of the Whole meeting for July 21st to order. At this time, a moment of silence for whatever you think you need to be thinking about. Thank you. And I'll lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, so if everybody would stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, Mr. Bryan, our city clerk, if you'd please call the roll.
Dunn.
Here.
Dorman.
Here.
McGinnis.
Here.
Lee. Grip.
Here.
Condon.
Here.
Miller.
Here.
Dickman.
Maria, are you online? Carry on.
Jobjan.
Here.
And Ambrose.
Here.
8 present, Your Honor.
Very good. So again, good evening, everyone. As we begin the meeting of the City Council Committee of the Whole meeting, again, I'd like to welcome everybody in attendance and anybody who's following on our respective electronic devices. We respectfully welcome your comments and opinions, but please, as we always do, keep in mind we're sharing our thoughts with our fellow Davenporters and anybody throughout the region. We're happy you're participating in our city government, but ask that please your participation, please reflect the common desire we all share to make Davenport a great place for everyone. If anybody in here has a cell phone or electronic device, if you'd please put it on silent or turn it off, simply because we don't want it interrupting anybody who's talking. If you want to address the council on a specific item, there's the podium right there. The microphone's above you, so just please step up, and we'd ask you to please recite or tell us your name and ward or address. If you're not from here, we'd love to know where you're from. Please address the council as a body and not any individual, and we'll be respectful of you. Please be respectful of us. Thank you. City Administrator, Ms. Spiegel, any update for this evening?
Nothing this evening, Your Honor.
Very good, thank you. We have 3 public hearings this evening, all under Public Works. Alderman Dunn and Alderman Dorman will handle that. Alderman Dunn, please.
Thank you, Your Honor. Open the first public hearing on the plan, specification, form of contract, and estimated cost for the Emice Park ADA Access Improvement Project. Is there anyone from the public wishing to address this public hearing? Seeing none, I move to close the public hearing.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. This public hearing is closed. Open the second public hearing on the plan, specification, form of contract, and estimated costs for the Veterans Memorial Park Phase 2 Overlook Project. Is there anyone from the public wishing to address this public hearing? Seeing none, I move to close the public hearing.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. This public hearing is closed, and I open the third public hearing on the plan, specification, form of contract, and estimated cost for the Sturtevant Street and Hayes Street reconstruction projects. Is there anyone from the public wishing to address this public hearing? Seeing none, I move to close the public hearing.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. And this public hearing is closed, and that's back to you, Your Honor.
Thank you, Alderman Dunn. And next item is petitions and communications from councilmen, folks, and mayor. I'll just go first and just give a quick general update. I know people have been concerned about situation in our folks on 35th and other places. So just so everybody's aware, my good friend Alderman Miller and I met with folks a couple of weeks ago at St. Anthony's. Had a good discussion and then talked with some of the owners and got a extension for them if they work individually to the end of August. We've also been in contact with the county. They've been working with Humility and Mary and others to get some rental assistance, and my understanding is they have done that if the people want to work individually with county folks, and I've been told that there are actually people doing that as we speak. Our staff here, our planning folks, Bruce Berger has been working with Salvation Army, and there's some funding that they've worked through that they'll be assisting with also. And so we continue to work through funding assistance and other assistance for those folks because we know it's important. So I just want to give that quick update, and I thank the people in all respects in different agencies and nonprofits and others that are willing to look at this and assist, and I appreciate that. So I see Alderman Grip.
Thank you, Your Honor. I just wanted to let everyone know if you're looking for me this weekend, I will be downtown Davenport with 30,000 of my closest friends. It is Bix weekend, the best weekend in our city. We call Bix the homecoming for Davenport, and for me this year, it literally is homecoming. We've got my 20th class reunion this weekend, and I'm looking forward to showing off the improvements that we've had in the city of Davenport. Sometimes Davenporters suffer from our own modesty, and we don't brag about ourselves very often, except me. I tell everybody how great Davenport is, and this weekend I encourage you to do the same thing. So take your friends out who are in town, show them all the cool things we have to do in Davenport, and enjoy it, be an ambassador to our great city. And then the other thing I would say is, this year, the Bix Fest has kind of morphed through the downtown partnership where they're doing block parties with the idea that you want to bring all of those people who are downtown into the actual businesses who operate there throughout the year. So I'm really looking forward to this new model, and I think it will be great for the businesses who have been really hard hit over the last year. Hopefully they can make a lot of money over Bix weekend, and then we have St. Patrick's Day coming up in August, and I think that's Alderman Condon's favorite day of the year. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you, Alderman Grip. Alderwoman McGinnis.
Thank you, Your Honor. I have a few things relating to sort of buildings tonight. State of Iowa has historic tax credits, which many businesses or many buildings have been rehabbed through these. Our historic buildings, there is a set aside by the state government, and they're either 1 or 2 rounds a year, and these are projects that I don't have any involvement with, but they are they're still, it's great news. So they were announced a couple of weeks ago, and two buildings, the Roosevelt Apartments at Harrison and 6th, and the Bowstring Lofts at West 2nd Street, which is across from the Y. It's not a building that people know as much about. It was an old International Harvester. They used to make trucks, International Harvester. It was built in 1925 for that. So both of these projects were granted historic tax credits for rehabilitation. And that's really exciting because that's 2 more buildings that were that will be renovated and will be available. This continues a great tradition of this in our city, and these are private development. One of the owners is an out-of-town owner, but they've owned the building for a long time, the Bowstring Lofts. So that's very, very exciting. And also, just to note that anybody who owns a vacant building, the city began sending out this week vacant property notices. This was an initiative, and this was something that council in 2018 had asked our Public Works Department to deal with. We passed an ordinance at that time at looking at new ways of dealing with abandoned/vacant properties. They're not necessarily the same thing. Abandoned means there's probably issues. Vacant may be issues, but just questions sometimes. In any case, we directed staff to establish a vacant property registry. This is something that happened kind of across the country after the mortgage crisis. Became sort of a common thing to do. Dubuque has established one then. And it's a way for the city to know who owns the buildings, to have clear title. People will have to register buildings each year. And it's a really good way for us to get a handle on vacant properties, particularly the distressed ones that are in our neighborhoods that I hear about often from people. So I know it's a lot of work for the staff. I want to thank them for moving this forward. And I'm excited to see what will come. This will really give us a really good look at where we are in our city. So thank you, Your Honor. That's all I have.
Thank you, Alderwoman McGinnis. Alderman Dorman.
Thank you, Mayor. I have 2 events I want to update the community on. The first one, I am shocked that Alderwoman McGinnis didn't talk about a party in the park tomorrow at Garfield Park. So right on Bridge and 29th, we'll have our second of 7 party in the parks, and this one being in the 5th Ward. So looking forward to that. It looks like the weather might be a little on the hot side, but it won't be on the rainy side. And the good way to combat the hot side of it is that there will be ice cream there for us all to enjoy. So stop on by and come see us at Party in the Park tomorrow. I'd love to have you. The next one I'd like to talk about is the Heights of the Era Party that is happening down at Lindsay Park. This is an event put on by Jim and Michelle Russell that is geared towards bringing Bix music back to Bix 7 Roadway Race weekend. So they're having bands flown in from all around the country. Some major headliners in the jazz, big band, swing type of genre are coming in. They'll have music going in Upper Lindsay Park from 10 a.m. till 10 p.m. And then they also, at 8 a.m. when the race starts, will have a band going down in McCullen Heights at the turnaround point for the Bix. So if you guys are around the East Village at all this weekend, I encourage you to swing by that event as well as checking out what's happening in downtown like Alderman Grip talked about earlier. So a lot to do this weekend. Thanks, Mayor.
Thank you, Alderman Dorman. Alderman Miller.
Thank you, Your Honor. If you're not a runner and you have no aspirations to do so and you live in Ward 7 or have love for that particular ward, I will be holding my Ward 7 meeting Saturday, 10 a.m. at Fairmount Park. One thing that in the discussions of 35th Street and the public comments last week really got to me, it was several members of that community said that one of the fears they had were for the youth of, who are growing up there. And one thing that really resonated with me. And I've talked to several young people in my own ward, and I just want to put it on public record that I'm currently thinking a lot about how we can actually service the youth of Davenport. When I talk to young people, they often lament that young people often leave the city or the area and don't come back. And that's something that when we think about like the long-term sustaining of the city, we have to think a lot about. So one very prominent member of my ward gave me a discussion and talked about how we have an opportunity perhaps to start a youth commission here in Davenport that would be run either through the City Council's Youth Commission or the Mayor's Youth Commission. And I'm thinking a lot about that. In my research, I have discovered that a lot of cities, both smaller than ours, like Moline, Sioux City, and Peoria, Arizona, have youth commissions, as do cities that are considerably larger, like San Francisco, Baltimore, Milwaukee, and St. Paul. And so what I'm thinking now about is whether, is this a viable thing for Davenport? And I call upon my fellow members of the City Council to think, at least this week, about what would make a good youth commission. What would we want to be able to share with the youth of this city? What kind of youth? Would it be a one-year term or a two-year term? And how can we make this beneficial? One thing that we know is that when people feel very involved in their community, they're more likely to invest in it, to say the least about staying there. So how can we actually make this something it's transformational so that we have the investment in our city from young people that really make them want to stay here? Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman Miller. Fairmount Park or library?
Library.
Roger that. Very good. Just making sure. I didn't want to go to a different place. So, my apologies. Alderman Ambrose.
Thank you, Honor. First off, I want to thank Alderman Miller for reaching out to the neighbors there. After last council meeting, I was pretty shook up from what I've been hearing. And the responsibility that the city has to allow rental property to decay. I've been dealing with nuisance properties that are habitual problems, the same properties for 25 years, and they're still nuisances. They still have bad landlords, and it's unfair to the tenants that live there. We have a city department that's supposed to address those, and whether they're overworked or they don't have the desire, that's got to be addressed. It's unfair to the good people of Davenport, and the city can do much better. And as far as Alderman Grip goes, and this weekend, in 2 weeks, the greatest event in the Quad Cities is going to take place in Davenport's great Fourth Ward. It's called the Mississippi Valley Fair. And over the course of 6 days, unlike the Bix we bring in 130,000 people, visitors to Northwest Davenport, to the Great Mississippi Valley Fairgrounds. It's the best entertainment package for the price, probably in this great country. So you got one day this Saturday where some people will be in town, but in 2 weeks, you're gonna have the opportunity, some of the greatest entertainment for the value. And it's always a lot of fun. So I would encourage everybody to mark in their calendar the Great Mississippi Valley Fair coming to Davenport's Great Fourth Ward. All right.
Thank you, Alderman Ambrose. Anyone else? It's just cool to everybody debating and arguing and all these wonderful things we got going. That's pretty cool by itself. So seeing no one else, we'll move on to our action items and areas for discussion. I had an alibi, but I don't remember what it was. So, okay, first area is community development. Alderman Grip and Alderman Lee would usually be here. So Alderman Grip, please take community development.
All right, thank you, Your Honor. Item number 1 on community development this evening is a third consideration ordinance for case REZ 21-01, being the request of Dan Lorenzen on behalf of Rock Church Ministries, Inc., to rezone Lot 2 of Nims Acres from SOS Open Space District to R1 Single Family Residential District. Note that Plan and Zoning Commission recommends denial. 8 votes are required for passage. Is there anyone from the public who wishes to comment on this item? Seeing no one, I would say that we had tabled this until this cycle, and then to give the petitioner a fair shake at having a full council when they vote, only to find out that the petitioner can't be here next week. So the petitioner is asked to table it for one more cycle. So I'm going to make that motion. There's a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that motion is tabled for one cycle. Item number 2 is a resolution for case F21-05, being the request of Third Gen LLC for a final plat of a 2-lot subdivision on 13.11 acres located at 3053 Research Parkway. Is there anyone from the public who's here to comment on this item? Anyone from the council? I'll just make note that this is making way for more development in the Eastern Iowa Industrial Center. That item will move on. Item number 3 is a resolution of support for the Quad Cities Chamber application to the U.S. Small Business Administration for the Community Navigator Pilot Program. Staff requests suspension of the rules to vote later on in this agenda. Is there anyone from the public who's here to comment on this item? Anyone from the council? So,
Is this particular item, is it time sensitive in that?
it is time sensitive. I think they need to get their application in, and it requires support from a governing body.
Thank you.
So, so this is a resolution just to support this application, but I do want to read what the application is. The focus of this program is to provide targeted outreach to specific sectors of the entrepreneurial community, such as underserved, minority-owned, and industries significantly impacted by COVID-19. So this is something that the Quad City Chambers is going after. We don't know if they get it, but we certainly support them in their endeavors and hope that they are able to bring back more dollars to help businesses impacted by COVID. Seeing no one else, this item will be voted on later in this agenda. Item number 4 is a resolution of support for a workforce housing tax credit application to the state for the Hiller Building project located at 314 Gain Street and approving a URTE application for the same. Staff requests suspension of the rules to vote on this later in the agenda as well. Is there anyone from the public who wishes to comment on this item? Please step to the lectern and state your name and address or ward, please.
Sure. My name is Jamie Lacandro. We are looking to redevelop a nuisance property at 314 Gaines, corner of 3rd and Gaines, right there, sort of base of the Centennial Bridge. I've been fortunate enough to just have finished up a sort of similar project, not quite to this extent, at 509 and 515 Ripley, right on the corner of 5th and Ripley there, by the old Carl Cleve building. So the Hiller building is finished in 1856. So it's the oldest multi-family standing structure in Davenport. It's actually on the top 10 list in the state of Iowa for most important endangered historic buildings. So to me, and I would imagine to everybody in Davenport, it's a fairly important project. When I purchased it last year, it was actually on the city's demolition list. And so I'm working with building inspector, fortunate enough to get it off the demolition list. Now we have like a work plan established. The costs are exorbitant in order to do it the right way, historically accurate way to restore the building how it needs to be done. So I'm just looking for any help that the state can provide in order to sort of make that viable at all. And so tax credits like these, any programs that I can take advantage of would be instrumental in trying to save this building. So we're looking at 10 apartments. We would keep the layout really essentially the same. John Hiller had built this building, obviously 170-ish years ago, and I'm not looking to change a whole lot. I just want to restore it back to how it should be. So, and running into almost a housing shortage in Davenport, I think is only going to help everybody out. So any support, I guess, anything that we can do, any advice, any input, I'm all ears. I printed off a few packets with pictures of before and after the Ripley buildings, just to let everybody else see what we started with and what we finished with. So now that all the inspections are passed, I just got final occupancy from the city. Everything filled before we were done. So I actually have waiting lists. So if that doesn't speak to how much more housing that I think we need. But again, thanks for your support. And again, any advice or input, always all ears. Thanks.
Thank you. Is there anyone else from the public who wishes to comment?
Sure, Bill Handel, Nashville, and also Ward 4. I just have to say, I have to applaud what you're doing. I can't think of anything that would, that I've driven, many of us have driven by that building for many years, and it's, it had so much merit looking at it, but and its age is, there just isn't anything of that era that's very little of that era that's still intact. I have to, everybody in the city that can give that project some aid. I just gotta say it's a wonderful thing. Thanks.
Is there anyone else from the public? All right. Anyone from the council? Alderman Ambrose?
Thanks, Mr. Chair. We all come off the Centennial Bridge into our beautiful city. And for the opportunity to have that property brought back, I hope the city will embrace this project and give it all the support it needs that it becomes a successful property, because you're heading the gateway to our great city, and when you come off the bridge, to see something historically pleasing would just, it's a great selling point for America's greatest city. So, that's my feeling on it. Thanks.
Alderman Condon?
Thanks for coming down this evening. I've admired your first project from afar, and I want to thank you for seeing the potential in that area, in that building, and also in this project. I wish you the best of luck. It's a project that I've walked through that building myself, and it's going to take an individual like you that has some passion and commitment to both the building and our community. So I happily support your project.
Yeah, I echo my colleagues here. 1852, that's an incredible date to still have that building standing, but to redevelop this is a really heavy lift, and workforce housing tax credits, historic tax credits, URTE, you're going to need those to be able to get these done. And what this done, And this is a building worth saving. In my opinion, if you look at how do we develop the western portion of our downtown, right there is the key that can transition us further west in redevelopment. And so that makes the Hiller building kind of a linchpin, as well as I'll call it the Do-Tap building that sits there as well. It's a gateway entrance, and you can go east or you can go west, and we need to entice people to go west, and I think it starts here. So thank you for taking on the task, and we wish you good luck. Hopefully you'll have our support. So that is our agenda. And so I would entertain a motion to table item number 1, place item number 2 on consent, and then keep items 3 and 4 on discussion to vote to suspend the rules and vote later on this agenda.
Second.
So moved.
There's a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Are there any opposed? That concludes community development this evening.
Thank you, Alderman Grip. The next area is public safety. Alderman Jobson and Alderwoman Dickman will discuss public safety. Alderman Jobson, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Item number 1 under public safety is first consideration ordinance amending Schedule 11 of Chapter 10.96 entitled Resident Parking Only by adding 16th Street along the north side from 70 feet east of Division Street, east 25 feet. Anyone from public wishing to comment on this item? Anyone from council? This item will move on. Item number 2 has multiple components. I will read all of those and then ask for public and council comment. Item number 2 is resolution approving street, lane, or public ground closures on the listed dates and times to hold outdoor events. First, Sergeant Pepper's Auto Shop, All Salute the Sergeant, 323 East 3rd Street, Saturday, July 31st, 2021, 12 p.m. to 10 p.m., closure. Southernmost parking lane and travel lane on East 3rd Street between Pershing Avenue and Iowa Street. Next, Third Missionary Baptist Church, 2021 Gospel Explosion Weekend, 222 West 14th Street, 8 a.m., Friday, August 13th, 2021 to 7 p.m., Saturday, August 14th, 2021. Closure, West 14th Street from Harrison Street to Main Street. Next, J&M Displays Incorporated, QCSO Riverfront Pops Concert Fireworks, LeClaire Park, Saturday, August 21, 2021, for 10 to 20 minutes between 9 p.m. and 10 p.m., dependent on when the concert ends. Closure, Riverfront Trail behind modern Woodman Park. Next, Center for Active Seniors Incorporated, St. Patrick's Day Race, downtown, Saturday, August 28, 2021. Closures, 5 a.m. to 12 p.m., 2nd Street from Harrison to Brady, 8 a.m. to 11 a.m., 2nd Street from Harrison to Ripley, 8:30 a.m. to 11 a.m., 2 westernmost travel lanes and parking lane on Brady Street from 2nd to 3rd, 8:30 a.m. to 11 a.m., 3rd Street from Brady to Gaines, 9:30 a.m. to 11 a.m., 3rd Street from Gaines to Division, 9:50 a.m. to 10:10 a.m., all lanes of Brady from River Drive to 3rd Street. And Alderman Condon, last but not least, St. Patrick's Society, St. Patrick's Day Grand Parade, looks like 35.2, Saturday, August 28, 2021, 11 a.m. to approximately 2 p.m., downtown. Closures, Gaines Street from the Centennial Bridge to 3rd Street, 3rd Street from Gaines Street to Iowa Street from 2nd Street to 4th Street for parade entries to disband. Is there anyone from public wishing to comment on these items? Anyone from council? All right. Item number 3. Again, I will read all the components and then ask for public and council comment. Motion approving noise variance requests for various events on the listed dates and times. Dan Moulton, Renwick Mansion events, 901 Tremont Avenue, no later than 10 p.m. every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday through December 31st, 2021. Outdoor music, band over 50 dBA. Next, Third Missionary Baptist Church, 2021 Gospel Explosion Weekend, 222 West 14th Street, 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. Friday, August 13th, 2021, and 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. Saturday, August 14th, 2021, outdoor music over 50 dBA. Next, J&M Displays Incorporated, QCSO Riverfront Pops Concert Fireworks, LeClaire Park, Saturday, August 21, 2021, for 10 to 20 minutes between 9 p.m. and 10 p.m., depending on when the concert ends, fireworks over 50 dBA. St. Patrick's Society, St. Patrick's Day Grand Parade, 35.2, downtown, Saturday, August 28, 2021, 12 p.m. to 1:30 p.m., outdoor music performances over 50 dBA. And lastly, German American Heritage Center, Best of the Worst, 712 West 2nd Street, Saturday, August 28, 2021, 1 p.m. to 6 p.m., outdoor music band over 50 dBA. Is there anyone from public wishing to comment on these items? Anyone from council? All right, and lastly, number 4, motion approving beer and liquor license applications. I will read items under number A, the new licenses, and then all annual license renewals are listed for people's review. So Part A, new license, new owner, temporary permit, outdoor area location transfer, Bertini's LLC, 3801 Rockingham Road, new license, outdoor area, license type C or Class C liquor. Next, Daiquiri Factory, 303 West 3rd Street, new license, license type Class C liquor. Next, German American Heritage Center, 712 West 2nd Street, parking lot, temporary outdoor event, Best of the Worst, August 24th, August 29th, license type Class C beer. Lopez Pizza, 429 East 3rd Street, license type Class C beer. Wise Guys Pizza and Pub, 2824 West Locust Street, Unit 3A, extended outdoor area, August 3 through August 8th, license type Class C liquor. And last, Comey Beer Store, LLC, 5220 Grand Avenue, new license, license type Class C beer. Is there anybody from public wishing to comment on these items? Anyone from council? And I would ask Alderman Ambrose to please set the agenda.
Move all items to the consent agenda.
We have a motion. Do we have a second? We have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. All opposed, same sign. Back to you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Alderman Jobson. The next area is Public Works. Alderman Dunn and Alderman Dorman will lead that discussion. Alderman Dunn, please.
Thank you, Your Honor. We have 9 items this evening. Item number 1 is a resolution approving the plan specification, form of contract, and estimated cost for the Emice Park ADA Access Improvement Project. Is there anyone from the public wishing to address this item? Council? Seeing none, this item will move on. Item number 2 is a resolution approving the plan specification, form of contract, and estimated cost for the Veterans Memorial Park Phase 2 Overlook Project. Is there anyone from the public wishing to address this item? Council? Seeing none, this item will move on. Item number 3 is a resolution approving the plan specification, form of contract, and estimated cost for the Sturtevant Street and Hayes Street reconstruction projects. Is there anyone from the public wishing to address this item? Council? Seeing none, this item will move on. Item number 4 is a resolution exercising the second-year option and awarding a 1-year continuation of the FY 2021 contract sewer repair program to Hometown Plumbing and Heating Company of Davenport, Iowa, and Peterson Plumbing and Heating Company of Davenport, Iowa, in the amount of $250,000 each for the FY 2022 budgeted in CIP. Is there anyone from the public wishing to address this item? Council? Seeing none, this item will move on. Item number 5 is a resolution awarding the contract for the traffic signal maintenance to Davenport Electric Contract Company of Davenport, Iowa. Is there anyone from the public wishing to address this item? Council? Seeing none, this item will move on. Item number 6 is a resolution awarding the emergency contract for the main lift pump station repairs project to Reagan Mechanical Incorporated of Davenport, Iowa, in the amount of $161,400. Is there anyone from the public wishing to address this item? Council? Seeing none, this item will move on. Item number 7 is a resolution awarding the contract for the Eastern Avenue, 43rd Street to 46th Street resurfacing project to CDMI Concrete Contractors of Port Byron, Illinois, in the amount of $291,900 $117.90. Is there anyone from the public wishing to address this item? Council? Seeing none, this item will move on. Item number 8 is a motion awarding the contract for the Archer Court, Waverly Court to the Cul-De-Sac resurfacing project to Hawkeye Paving Corporation of Davenport, Iowa, in the amount of $97,461. Is there anyone from the public wishing to address this item? Council? Seeing none, this item will move on. And item number 9 is a motion ratifying change orders 1, 2, and 3 for the Division Street, 4th to 9th Street reconstruction project contracted with Langman Construction Incorporated of Rock Island, Illinois, in the amount of $54,714.31. Is there anyone from the public wishing to address this item? Council? Seeing none, this item will move on. And Alderman Dorman, would you set the agenda for us, please?
I move to place all 9 items on the consent agenda.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign. And that concludes Public Works, Your Honor.
Thank you, Alderman Dorman and Alderman Dunn. The last area to be discussed is finance. Alderman Condon and Alderman Miller will discuss finance. Alderman Condon, please.
Thank you, Your Honor. We have 3 items on finance this evening. Item number 1 is a resolution awarding the contract for the auxiliary site clearing project to Valley Construction Company of Rock Island, Illinois, in the amount of $322,985. Is there anyone from the public wishing to address this item? Council? Alderman Dunn?
Thank you, Alderman Condon. I just want to say thank you to our staff and our council here. For those that don't know, this is the old Blackhawk Foundry site, and it's been quite a mess for a long time, and it's really going to make that neighborhood look good when we're done, so thank you.
Item number 1 will move on. Item number 2 is a resolution accepting and approving the city administrator's recommended American Rescue Plan Act budget, including funding allocations for related resiliency projects, and authorizing the city administrator and chief financial officer to perform the necessary budget and personnel amendments. Is there anyone from the public wishing to address this item? Council? Alderman Jobjan.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I know we've had multiple discussions on how we're going to use this money. We've gone through the ranking system 2 weeks ago yesterday. We got the results of that rankings, and then with the publishing of this agenda came the draft that was brought before us 2 weeks ago. We haven't really had what I feel is a great public discussion on that draft, and so I do have some comments, but I also would like to entertain a motion to amend. So if it's more prudent for some others to speak first, so I can come back to me, but I'll come back and pause, I guess.
Thank you. We'll allow others to speak on this first. Alderman Ambrose.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Kind of tying in with Alderman Jojen. Do we have someone from staff that can thoroughly explain the history and what the city plans are so the public can better understand?
So as the council is aware, we received notification from the federal government many months ago at this point of what our expected amount was to be. And there are a couple different funding sources. There's also a transit allocation and a home allocation. So it turned out to be about $41 million, which is the number we've been working towards. We worked with you and felt it was important to get community feedback. So we are the only community in the region that has put out a community survey, which we left open for multiple weeks. The responses which were shared to you. Staff put together a list of potential projects that either have been talked about for many years through many budgets or our needs of our community, and then through multiple work sessions with the council was also allowed to have input in adding projects. We then went through, we treated this a little bit kind of like goal setting through a normal council process where the council evaluated all 58 potential projects and went through a ranking process. There was a subsequent work session to that where we talked about those, and that has led us to where we are today. Along the way, from a staff perspective, we have continued to watch the Treasury guidance, which continues to come out. And our position at this point is, with the knowledge we have and the information we have received from Treasury, the slate of projects and programs ahead of you are eligible, knowing what we know as of today.
And Corey, can you explain what each one of those projects are, please?
Let me pull up the packet quick. I'm getting there. Little advance warning would have been good. See if IT will cooperate with me. All right. So this material has been available to the public through the council packet for the past several days and has been shared through all of our work sessions thus far. But the program areas as presented to you for consideration are program administration, obviously to efficiently and effectively expend $41 million. We're going to need some staff support. So that was one of the things that we had told you was an expectation. The next sub area is neighborhood reinvestment. So there's a $2 million allocation for neighborhood stabilization and a $2.1 million allocation for vacant and abandoned properties. The next area is youth and family support. So there are two sections of the youth assessment program, one the community-based side and one the law enforcement-based side. So that's $2.6 million total for both of those. And then a program area for violence interrupters for $750,000. Library enhancements is the next section, a community center at Fairmount Library, a social worker, and a pre-K literacy initiative, so a little over $2.5 million for those. The next section is creating places. So there's a $2.5 million allocation for neighborhood parks, a $500,000 dedication to the MLK Plaza, $6 million for the Main Street Landing Adventure Play and Event Lawn, and $75,000 for public Wi-Fi hotspots. The next program area is flood mitigation. Two projects there to stage 22, the first being River Drive from Federal to 3rd, and the second from Iowa to Maine, and that's $4 million. Transitional housing for $600,000, multimodal connectivity for $4 million, and the West Locust sewer connectivity for $14 million.
Is that a park or playground you're talking about for the event center, Donald? The $6 million?
Both.
Can you talk a little, explain the vision on that, please?
So what I would caveat with all of these is these are very high-level program areas. I don't have design documents. I don't have construction documents. I don't have programs. What the action before you is to advise me that I can start using an extensive amount of staff time developing these things. This council and many, many before it have worked on River Vision, and there have been many continued master plans down in the Main Street Landing area and all through the riverfront, quite frankly. So this designates kind of that area in the Sky Bridge and a little bit to the east, generally as the next phase of development. And as the council has previously discussed, some very large-scale regional attraction play feature.
As our city administrator, what would you say are the top 3 projects, in your opinion?
This is a policy decision. I don't think.
No, you're a professional city administrator, and
I don't think that's a fair question to ask of me.
well, I disagree because you're going to be running the program. So, but hey, thanks a lot. Great information.
Alderman Grip.
Thank you, Chair. So when we had our work session about these and have had multiple discussions, I've spoke out in favor of the plan we have here and commended my colleagues on putting together a very diverse and comprehensive program addressing crime in a preventative way. Mr. Detay's in the audience. How long have we been talking about the need for violence interrupters? That's in there. a community-based juvenile assessment program, community-based, not punitive, trying to prevent children from going to crime. That's in there. We talk about economic development on the West End. That's in there. We talk about investing in strong neighborhoods. That's in there. And we talk about kicking off a comprehensive flood mitigation plan. That's in there. But when I think about ARPA dollars, I think about them with a vision for what Davenport should be, because getting $40 million to spend is a big opportunity. So I think about a growing economy, strong neighborhoods, a vibrant downtown, and attractive riverfront. When I think about Main Street Landing project, I think about it in a few different ways. First of all, I view it as a neighborhood park for the 3,500 residents who now live in downtown Davenport and call that their neighborhood. Secondly, I think of it as a regional attraction, right? This is a place, our riverfront is a place people who don't live in Davenport come to be. And thirdly, I think of it as economic development, a city asset that entices private investment in our downtown. And I've already heard from developers and downtown business owners excited to have a regional attraction to bring people to our riverfront in our downtown. Now, this council in particular, we've been very adamant about building stronger neighborhoods. So when I look at ARPA, the way I envision us leveraging these dollars is to build really strong, resilient neighborhoods. So you start with the Neighborhood Park Fund, which I consider Main Street Landing to be a neighborhood park. You put a community asset near a commercial business corridor next to a neighborhood, and then you use the neighborhood stabilization dollars to stabilize that neighborhood. You want to talk about government investment spurring private investment to secure our central city and our heritage neighborhoods. This is the way you get it done. This is the recipe. I think about the East Village and that adjacent neighborhood. I think about the Hilltop campus and that adjacent neighborhood. I think about our downtown, and I think about our West End. These are some of the poorest census tracts in the Quad Cities, and we're investing in them. So the recipe is simple. You invest in a community asset, you invest in neighborhood stabilization, you do it adjacent to a business corridor where people can walk and bike to work, and you build strong neighborhoods. And that is why I strongly support this effort that we're doing. I know the headline could very well be that the city is investing millions in parks, and that's true, we are, but that's a simplification. The city is investing in neighborhoods that have seen decades of disinvestment. The city is investing in crime prevention, not punitive, prevention. The city is investing in economic development in West Davenport, and we're investing in the long-term sustainability of our central neighborhoods. And I think that's what we get with this ARPA plan. Now, I did want to add one thing, if there is questions about, can you use ARPA dollars for parks? And the Treasury Department has weighed in on that. And they said investment in parks, public plazas, and other public outdoor recreation spaces may be done in responsive to the needs of disproportionately impacted communities by promoting healthier living environments and outdoor recreation and socialization to mitigate the spread of COVID-19. So it is absolutely a permittable use with ARPA funds. We are well within the use of the dollars, and an added benefit there, Main Street Landing was budgeted in CIP. It's an allowable use in ARPA that opens up the CIP dollars for other capital improvements that we have. So I'm fully supportive. That's my position on it. This is about building strong neighborhoods in the parts of our city that has historically seen disinvestment. You're going to start seeing investment.
Thank you, Alderman Grip. Alderwoman McGinnis.
Thank you, Alderman Condon. I can't say what Alderman Grip has said any better. When I looked at the list, it was sorting through and picking the top ones. We all did that, and everything I picked in the top isn't there, but much of what I did is there. And so I recognize that this is a group decision. When I looked at the list, and there are different ways of cutting it, but I saw, investing in children and youth, investing in neighborhoods, economic redevelopment, and in public safety. And those things are all important. You know, serving as I do in Third Ward, and I know other people, you know, at this table as well, you know, we fight every day past policies that really damaged our core neighborhoods and caused disinvestment. And we have certainly tried, and I commend this council and this staff for doing that, things like the Dream Project, other things the city's tried to do through the years. This is an exceptional opportunity to do things that we could only dream of doing, and to do it with speed. We have 3 years to spend this money. Infrastructure projects can get an extra 2 years if we've allocated the dollars ahead of that. So this has to be done with exceptional speed, and we'll be competing with every other city that received dollars for everything from you know, if it's asphalt for a park to anything else, to the services, to design some of these things. And so I also commend our staff for moving quickly and efficiently and working, you know, giving us this information. Again, the west side, I'd like to speak to the west side sewer connection. That is something that certainly we've talked about. I can't even imagine when we would actually be able to bring that before for a vote. That is a very expensive investment in a side of our city where there's a lot of opportunity. There is a need for redevelopment, and that's all of the West End, from the top of the city all the way to the river, is going to benefit from this. It's a place for great economic growth for neighborhoods, and I'm very, very excited about that as well, and that covers many wards. But I saw, you know, for our children, for our parks, and the dollars for the parks are for parks in low to moderate income census tracts where maybe the play equipment has not been always what it could be. This is telling these kids you really matter. We've been trying to bring people back to our parks through Party in the Park, and certainly this is something that I hope will help to spur that. The kids are our future. You know, they're our future citizens. You know, I'm not going to be around for a lot of other years probably, but they will be hopefully, and hopefully they'll be successful and happy, and we need to do everything we can for them. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Alderwoman McGinnis. Alderman Ambrose.
Thanks for another opportunity, Mr. Chair. First off, Alderman Grip gave a great highlight of these programs, and you know, I've been around a while, and a lot of these dreams, you know, 10, 15, 20 years down the road, we find out they were just dreams. In reality, they were very ineffective for what their plans were. And my hope was that these would all be successful plans, because I know we got a staff and a city administrator that can make things happen in the right way, and she's proven herself with her team. But my concern is this investment on our great riverfront. I spent a lot of time on the riverfront, and the fact that, you know, we're talking about $6 million invested in a playground. Another 2 years ago, the raging Mississippi wiped everything out, and kids down in a playground playing by the train. You know, it seemed a little unsafe to me, particularly what I see when I ride my bike along the bike path in the river. And we got a lot of challenges that we should have been addressing in the past councils, past mayors, and nothing happens. So now we get an opportunity. We might see the 41 billion. You know, when I sit back and look at the recklessness that's going on in Washington, D.C., and the impact it's going to have on every consumer, every taxpayer in our great city, and to be doing some of these programs that to me are pipe dreams, and but I speak from someone that's been around for a while, And I've listened to people dream about the Mississippi River, and 3 or 4 days later, or 3 or 4 years later, everything's wiped out. We got some great projects on the list, and we'll tackle them. But as far as the playground and that investment on the river, I think at this time, no one was coming down the road financially by what's going on in Washington, D.C. $41 million. The city has been the most stable financial city maybe in the country. And now we got reckless decisions that were made in Washington, D.C. almost 2 years ago that more or less destroyed the economy. Now they're trying to rescue the community, this country, from their reckless decisions. So I'm worried what's coming down the road, and I'm worried about taking this type of investment and doing projects that down the road, there will be no success in them. I've seen it from River Vision. I've watched the people meet for years on a vision for the Mississippi, and very little of it has happened. When we started building our downtown, we got funding from the state of Iowa, $20 million that we had to match. Most of that never really happened. So, you got to be cautious. We got an election year coming up, and these decisions are going to have an impact on anybody that's run for re-election in the city of Davenport.
Thank you, Alderman Ambrose. Alderman Dorman.
Thank you, Alderman Condon. So when I look at ARPA and I look at this list of projects that we have and reflect back on my own personal life as a newer member, the newest member of the people here on council to the adult life status that you can say, I really think about the position I am of just getting married over the COVID-19 pandemic, having my wedding pushed off and eventually finding a time that works. And now being in the stage of our lives where we're thinking about, family, kids, things like that. And being in that hybrid between the two of the young generation that you see of my specific generation, the trends of wanting to live downtown, wanting to have things to do, being motivated about activities and being outside and active. And then now transitioning into the next stage of our lives where we're now wanting to maybe settle down, maybe move away from an apartment, get into a house, but still have the attraction and things to do, still be within walkable distance of different business assets that we have. And all in the meantime, live in a place, in a home that actually has some character. It's not just a brand new house built out in the middle of a farm field. And when I look at the list, it covers all of that. And when you think about what is going to happen coming out of the COVID-19 pandemic, the entire United States really faced a true crisis, and it shuffled a lot of things up, including where people could work and what type of places they now want to live in. We're seeing mass exodus of some of our larger cities where people are moving to other cities because they now have more freedom to do things and their job no longer requires them to stay in that larger city. And that's where we're in the opportunity right now to capitalize on this and take Davenport to the next generation. So not only is it a place that is growing and thriving when my kids are my age, it will be the same for when my grandkids are my age. And that's really the target demographic that I think that this is for, the generation, I should say, that this is for. I'm even almost too old for this already when we're thinking about the true impact that this will have in our community. We'll start seeing things 5 years from now. We'll start seeing things 10 years from now. But it will be 20 years from now that we really can look back and say, wow, that investment that we made into making Davenport a safe, vibrant, and welcoming community is what got us here where we are today right now. And what would that be, 2041? And so that's why I really support the great list that we put together, that we as council have collaboratively talked about and thought through and found the right way to spend this money. And the best part about it is that line number 1, the administrative costs, hiring people specifically to make this happen is how we take this pipe dream and turn it into a reality. And no matter what, we're getting the $41 million that needs to be spent in 3 years. So this is happening, and we need to spend the money, and I think this is the best plan in order for that to happen. And I am extremely excited to see what Davenport will look like 3 years from now, 5 years from now, when this money is spent and the projects are implemented. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman Dorman. Alderman Miller.
Thank you, Chair. Back in the 2000s, there was a book written by a guy named Surowiecki called The Wisdom of Crowds, and he wrote that book in response to a book from the 19th century called Extraordinary Popular Delusions and the Madness of Crowds. That older book talked about how when people make decisions in a group, they usually do stupid stuff, right? Basically, they will do things like like drive up the prices of tulips to create a tulip market that was entirely unsustainable. The wisdom of crowds was basically about how people, when they act in groups, the intelligence of the group tends to be more intelligence of any one member than the group, right? Now, we all made these decisions individually. I made mine in my basement. And I'm looking here, revisiting the ARPA priority ranking from June 14th. Four of us designated Main Street Landing Project to be in the top 10 frequency. I was probably not one of these people. But it's okay, because we have, in thinking about this for the last 24 hours, I understand. I have a better understanding now about the importance of that particular project on the actual health of the city. I was reading an article today about how people who have a job, but they're going to be going back in person to their job, that employer is probably going to, over the long term, lose a lot of employees. They won't be able to hire these people because the nature of expectations of work are going to change so frequently, so quickly. So my thought is that if you start to make investments in parkland and recreation, that is going to be more in line with how we want to build cities in the future. People are going to be working from home a lot more. That means whatever is in their home life is going to be able to create more of a sense of place. So recreational space is going to be quite a bit more valuable in the future. And that is something, when we think about the nature of change for the future, that's the kind of thing that we want to be able to invest toward. That's all I have.
Thank you, Alderman Miller. Alderman Dunn.
Thank you. Alderman Miller, you're correct. This wasn't one of my top 10 either, but it is a very important project, and and it did go through the process. I said one of the things that sticks with me is this council and previous councils have had a goal to get this Main Street Landing stuff done. So we budgeted money every year to do it. So whether we go ahead and start doing it now and using these funds that we can use them for, that, like Alderman Grip said, that frees up money on the back end in our CIP. And I've heard a lot of people say, why can't we use these funds to fix our streets? Well, quite honestly, they're not going to let us. But you know what? If we use these funds to do this, one of the council's goals to move this forward, we can then use that money when we start talking budget again to fix streets. Now, how much more streets can we get done for about $2 million a year? So I guess for me, that's what makes it important. So thank you.
Alderman Jobson. Okay, we're gonna go. So I'll speak if you would like. Okay, and I'm enthused to see and hear the support for this project as it's been singled out here. I'll make my comments brief as my colleagues have made some of these points better than I ever will. But so far as the narrative that this process was too fast or didn't engage the public. I guess I would say don't mistake swift action and direction from our staff for any haste or negligence. This is money that needs to be spended quickly, and we need to implement a plan. And I thought they gave us great direction and did a good job with that. And again, right now, we're highlighting these programs at a higher level. So at the simplest level, maybe you could ask, is there a need for a project like this? And as I understand, tourism is also something that we're allowed to spend ARPA dollars on, correct? So one of our favorite pastimes on the weekend, I know I share with Alderman Ambrose, is going down to the farmer's market. And what drives me nuts is to see thousands of people enjoying the farmer's market and maybe 5 people in our great lawn in LeClaire Park and no one at the foot of our sky bridge. We need to activate these spaces. And that's exactly what this project aims to do. Time and time again, when we survey our public and our region, the riverfront is identified as being the thing that people are most proud of, identify with the most. It's our identity, it's our heart, and if we're gonna be honest with ourselves as a community, we've got a project down there that has stalled over the years with the relocation of the casino, and more recently with the pandemic, and this is an opportunity to get us back on track and reclaim our great riverfront and see it full of people. Quickly, as far as the neighborhoods, I can attest for someone who lives in the central city, low to moderate income people that live in the central city, they're especially unique because they literally don't have a yard. When you live in an apartment, your parks become your yard. So that just magnifies the need for this amenity down here. So those are my quick kind of bullet points. And Your Honor, if you'd like to have a word, I'll hand it off to you.
Thank you for letting me speak. So I just want to thank the staff and the council and the citizens of Davenport for the deliberative efforts that they provided. We had a citizen survey separate of the survey that we did for ARPA that talks about 4 priorities: public safety, infrastructure, neighborhoods. The citizen survey that we got particular to ARPA talks about the things that all of you guys have deliberated and the staff has provided to council. So I want to applaud the process. I told folks early on, we're going to take a little time to do this. But once we got doing it, the staff worked hard and executed a recommendation through work sessions that you all participated in. So I want to applaud the dialogue. I want to applaud the participation that everybody did, and a lot of people calling you guys separately than just the work sessions that we had. So I want to applaud the process, the public input. Something to think about. I mean, many people have said it, and I've said it overall, and the media's reported it. Things like neighborhoods, public safety, pre-K reading, flooding. We've talked about, and you've heard me say it, reference the H.R. Green survey that we talked about since 1965. Many people have talked about doing something with flooding. Well, we're doing it. Now we're going to get going on it and using some ARPA funds to tackle the underground stuff. So when the recommendation in the fall comes to us for the 9 pieces or 7 pieces of the flood attempt or plan, we'll already have a head start. So thank you for that. Talks about putting money in here in ARPA for housing, crime prevention, economic development. One thing people ask me about, how'd you get Amazon, was certainly a collaborative effort for many folks around this region, but a key to that was the many future folks ahead of us did some prior planning and future thoughts in our north part of Davenport. So when Alderwoman McGinnis and everybody else has talked about future planning going west in the sewer, that's what we're talking about. Some of the people here have talked about, well, maybe we won't be around, but that's what we're doing. We're setting up some things to be in position so that when other entities decide to come here, it's ready to go. A lot of the discussion on how we got things here was the ability for people to see this place. I mean, there's a lot of entities, Sterilite, Amazon, others that could have went anywhere. And because we had future planning and we had things already, they're coming here, and now that's spurring other people coming here, and there'll be other things that are coming. But that future planning, so that west sewer is so important, but economic development, neighborhoods, pre-K reading, public safety, flood mitigation. I applaud the dialogue. I, again, with many people have said up here, maybe the exact 10 list wasn't exactly the 10 list that I had, but the dialogue and the vision and discussion with the public and the discussion with the staff and discussion with you folks and my colleagues here came up with that. And that's what democracy is about, is the discussion of where priorities go and how you do that. And then we task the staff to give us recommendations. And so I support the recommendations. As I've said before, I've given our city administrator a couple little tweaks that I'd like to see, but that's what I'd like to see, and I think we can do some of those. So thank you for the discussion. Thank you for doing that, and I would hope we would get moving forward and approve these recommendations. So thank you for allowing me, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Your Honor. Alderman Jobjan.
Thank you again, Mr. Chair. Before I start, I guess I have a question for our corporate counsel, Mr. Warner, just as a point of clarification. So if the motion's made this evening, is the motion voted on this evening, or is this item go to next week's discussion agenda to have the amendment or motion voted on then?
So if you make the motion this evening and it gets a second, there'll be a vote
Okay.
tonight.
So then I could wait to next week to make my motion.
Yes, you could wait till
i.e.
next week.
read the tea leaves. Okay. So therefore, thanks for coming back around. I'm going to wait till next week. I thank everybody for their comments. I would like to make some more comments, just to kind of noodle on. You know, I've made some suggestions before that have flown like lead balloons up here, and this may be another one. And if it is, it is, no big deal, right? But you know, I think the discussion's great. You know, I commend our city staff for reaching out to the public. I commend our city staff for creating a system that allowed us to analyze this individually, put it all together, and come up with a pretty darn good plan, right? I just have angst on one problem or on one project within this whole thing, and that's where I'm coming from. That's my angle, and that is the Main Street Landing Destination Play Area. And these are my reasons why. You know, first, I really don't think it aligns with the eligibility criteria that was given initially. Now, the target has moved, and we've gotten better guidance from Treasury, and whether that's a failure on me to analyze that as we go forward, so be it. But the three eligibility criteria that we have listed in our documentation are: 1, respond to the public emergency or negative economic impacts to residents, businesses, and industries. I think this is one of the three that we could probably make a stretch, that a destination play area might respond to a negative impact on the residents, as we talked about this being, or potentially being, a neighborhood park. And I think that's still a stretch. I don't think there's anything within a destination play area or event center park next to the Mississippi River that is going to respond to the public emergency. The second one is compensate for revenue reductions. Again, we could say, you know, ARPA dollars can be used for tourism. They can, you know, this could generate businesses to, you know, or people to come downtown to, you know, help those businesses down there. But again, I don't think we're getting towards compensation for any revenue reductions that occurred to Stomp Box Brewery, you know, any other restaurant or retail center down there. And then the third eligibility criteria: support infrastructure projects related to water, sewer, et cetera. You know, I think if we tie this into to flood mitigation, again, we can make that stretch, but again, I don't think this supports any infrastructure whatsoever. And so therefore, that's some of my biggest angst on this, that those three criteria that were kind of drilled in initially, and again, if I couldn't get over my initial reaction to it, so be it, but that's one of my biggest things. The other thing is, we do have to realize that the draft budget that's being proposed is approximately $2 million over what we're allotted, right? And so granted, like our city administrator said, this is very high level. We don't have exact figures, You know, is it the right thing to plan to spend $2 million over what we're allotted, right? Is there a place to cut? And if there's a place to cut, then I've got the number one thing that I would recommend. Next, you know, I still contend committing money for this project without finalizing our flood mitigation strategies with H.R. Green is getting cart before the horse. I know we've talked about this as a council before, and others disagree and think that, you know, coming up with this plan aligns with what we're doing, and H.R. Green's part and parcel. But again, I disagree. And then I also think that the $6 million price tag, you know, even if this is a conservative estimate, you know, over a year ago, we committed and we approved a resolution to go out an RFQ for destination play area. And the budget for that project at that time, please someone correct me if I was wrong, was $3 to $4 million. So now we're looking for approximately twice that. So again, I have a little bit of angst on that. If we're looking to add on more than just a play area, maybe an event center, I would contend that we have an event center at the end of the Sky Bridge to the north. It's called the River Center that needs a little TLC as well. Maybe some money could be used there. You know, and I think my last thing is, you know, if we're looking to enhance, you know, a neighborhood play area in that area or enhance a play area for businesses, the farmer's market was brought up. If I'm not mistaken, there's a little play area around there. Why can't we enhance that? Will that cost as much? Could we utilize dollars to help those businesses directly by, hey, we'll help you draw children and their parents down to your facility. They're going to go get ice cream. They're going to get some pizza, you know, whatever, by, you know, maybe spending less money and enhancing that. So therefore, I will wait till next week to make my motion, just in case my ramblings sway some people the other way, and maybe some of those that are gone might see this more as my favor. But next week I will plan to make that motion, and I thank everybody for the time for me to talk.
Thank you, Alderman Jobson. Alderman Dorman.
Thank you, Alderman Condon. And Alderman Jobson, your thoughts got me thinking more about this and specifically how this, I really do think, fits in nicely to the thoughts of what COVID, the ARPA money was supposed to do and what it was supposed to attract. When you think about recovery of funds from the impact of COVID-19, the number one fund as a city that we saw our biggest hit in over the COVID period was our hotel motel fund. Having a playground like this, that is a destination playground, a regional destination playground, is one where we will see an increase in our tourism, and we will see more people wanting to come to our downtown in order to stay in our hotels, in order to go to this event space, this asset that we have for our community. So that would then, hopefully, in theory, help us recover that fund. We then talk about recovery of businesses and how we make them feel better. And with that, you know, we could go and give all of the businesses in downtown, we could give them $6 million, and they would figure out how to spend $6 million in a one-time asset. Well, that would be a one-time spend that who knows what they would use it on. But when you use it on a $6 million playground, that is now an attraction where you now have foot traffic that's coming down. That $6 million now, year after year after year, shows economic drivers where you have people walking from where they maybe park at one of the ramps in order to go walk to the play feature, or maybe they live up on the hill in the Gold Coast or over more by the LeClaire House, and they then walk down into our neighborhood and they walk right by Lopez and they think, oh, that place looks fun. I should stop in there and get a pizza. And it's that foot traffic then that we now are having a reoccurring spot where we can get new revenue sources to come in and help these businesses overcome the horrible losses they saw in the past year through COVID. And then finally, when we think about how we give people a safe place to interact, that if God forbid, another pandemic happens, where would these downtown residents go? Well, here's their neighborhood park where they now have a way to get out, exercise, have their kids run around, get out of the house if we had to be bundled up again and some sort of lockdown. And so this would be their area where that is now directly combating the impacts that we saw with the actual virus. And so when it comes to the destination playground, I think it's not only one that is going to help recover our tourism industry, it's not one that is also going to help recover our small business and our local economy that we have, but I think it will also help us as residents of Davenport have another place to go to entertain our children or really, frankly, entertain ourselves. So I'm a big supporter of this, and I think it's going to be a great asset to not only our riverfront, but our entire community as a whole. So.
Thank you, Alderman Dorman. Alderwoman McGinnis.
Thank you for letting me speak one more time, and I'll try to keep it short. I do want to point out, I think, I represent Third Ward, which goes from College all the way over to Pine. It goes through older neighborhoods. It goes through downtown. It goes through some western suburbs over, just south of the fairgrounds. And so it's a very diverse ward. In all ways, in type of housing and what's there and the people who live there. But I do want to point out, I feel like people sometimes I hear, downtown, they get this, they get that. But downtown, let's keep in mind, is home to, yes, many market rate housing projects, but many affordable housing projects as well. And there's a reason for that. The census tract that includes downtown and goes all the way to Telegraph is Census Tract 109. That is one of two opportunity zones. And those were chosen because they were low to moderate income census tracts. And I think people forget that. And 109 goes further east and it goes further west than downtown itself. But this is an area of need, and it wouldn't have been selected if it wasn't. The second opportunity zone in the city is 106, which is just to the east, and that's the older neighborhood that goes up, up toward Locust, but down to the river. These are I study the demographics of census tracts. It's just something I do. And 106, 107, which just is north of 109 also, these are some of our poorest, some of our poorest citizens. And so we do have, again, Third Ward's very diverse, downtown's very diverse, but let's not equate something at Main Street Landing with something that somehow is going to benefit, other people. One of the guidelines for these dollars was spending money in low to moderate income census tracts. That was one of the guidances we had. That hasn't been mentioned tonight. And as I went through the list that we approved, I could check that list off, whether it was in Third Ward or Fourth Ward or Fifth Ward, or even up to the Northwest, where a lot of where we have some very modest housing as well. So we need to keep that in mind when we talk about anything about downtown, because it is very diverse. Thank you.
I apologize if my first time only counted for a little bit. Just one thought, one thing I've learned in my short time is every asset we create is going to become an expense. Okay? Sky Bridge, other parks, just a thought.
Alderman Grip.
Thank you. The only reason I rang in for a second opportunity is because I did want to draw something out about the benefit of parks, and that is that parks are available to everyone, regardless of their income, their age, who they are, what they do. And when you talk about an equitable public amenity, a park is one of those things. And we have public amenities that we spend millions of dollars on that most of our community doesn't have access to. And so investing in an amenity, Main Street Landing, which is a park, Part of that is a playground. The reason why the budget is bigger than what it was a couple of years ago is because this is an expanded version of that with park assets in addition to the playground. But parks are equitable. They're for everybody. They're free. You don't have to be wealthy to enjoy it. Thank you.
Thank you. I did want to add one thing. If you believe in redeveloping our central city, revitalizing our neighborhoods, where we've seen some of the greatest success of revitalization is the downtown. The downtown is the anchor, in my opinion, of the future revitalization of our central city and our older neighborhoods. And the riverfront is the anchor to the anchor. So we have a space down there which needs an improvement. And it's almost unfortunate that it's a playground because it sounds frivolous, but it's really not. If you see the playgrounds that we're talking about, the one that I've experienced firsthand is in Cincinnati. It really appeals to, like they say, kids from 6 to 60. It's a space that invokes curiosity. It invites you to linger. It's a place that you want to return to. And if the Quad Cities has anything, is kids and families. It's where people return to raise their families, because it is such a great place to be. So why not a playground to support what is our greatest asset? And it is perhaps the most widely appealing thing that I have been able to think of that we could put down there that would in some way reach just about everybody in the Quad Cities, because everybody has a young person in their lives that they're going to want to spend time with. So that's, again, I hope we can choose to see the destination play area as something much greater than a playground. With that, we'll move on. Item number 3 is a resolution approving a memorandum of understanding between the City of Davenport and United Way Quad Cities regarding the establishment of a youth assessment program. Is there anyone from the public wishing to address this item? Council, Alderman Ambrose.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. City Administrator, can you give an overall explanation of what the plan is here for the public?
Sure. This specific item ties back to a goal that has been for now 3 councils. So Juvenile Assessment Center was the original goal, and Juvenile Support Services. We have worked diligently with our partners in the city of Bettendorf and Scott County for many years, as well as a number of community partners, and finally found a method to move forward with. So the agreement before you is our MOU with United Way, who will be serving as the fiscal agent for the consortium of funders that is moving this project forward. The United Way did assist the group in leading through an RFP process, and the announcement of the actual service provider will be made later this year, or later this month, actually. So this is specifically about the funding. The council has previously talked about the dedication of $1 million, and the allocations for Bettendorf and Scott County are in there as well. At the time where the announcement of the provider is made, there is also likely to be announcements of other funding partners from our community. And again, as part of your conversation, this is about providing assistance to families and children before they become part of our law enforcement strategy. So this is a big step forward for our community, and staff is very pleased to bring this forward to you.
All right, thank you.
Before I hand it to you, Mayor, I'll just say I wanted to celebrate this and recognize all the hard work that was put on by all the community members, both within the city of Davenport and beyond. Revisiting the struggles and the pains of last summer, there was a lot of people hurting, and there was a lot of people coming to me and asking what I thought about the issues of the day, whether it's the Black Lives Matter or the prison to school to prison pipeline, all of those weighty issues. And I'm sorry that my remarks are not more prepared, but I did just want to say that, again, this is a victory and also a starting line for a lot more hard work to do. Whenever people would address me about those items, I would encourage them to get to know our police officers and recognize their support for this youth assessment program, because they always spoke about the program compassionately, recognizing that we're never going to arrest our way out of this program, out of this problem. And this is a program that I was introduced to by our police chief and city staff, and have put a lot of hopes into, and I look forward to watching this program grow, get funded, and offer some relief to a community that was really in a lot of pain last summer, and looking to move forward in a positive way. Your Honor?
Thank you for letting me speak on this one also. So I just want to applaud and thank staff, tons of community members, our county partners, our friends to the east from Bettendorf, nonprofits, United Way, and of course, the person that got the RFP. And there's been a lot of discussion. Right before my time as mayor, there was a push to get this done, and then it was kind of in a flux of how do we do it, what do we do? But because the leadership of our staff and the leadership of the city, we took it on and said, we'll lead this. But we need to have partners, we need to have teamwork and a collaboration. So we committed, and I applaud the council to commit $1 million as quite frankly, the footing to get the other ones to come along. And that's what happened. Because of your leadership, the city's leadership, that caused the other folks to come in. And I'm looking forward to announcing very soon that, as Ms. Spiegel said, a heck of a lot of other folks are now partnering with us with some serious money to do this also, because it is very important we talk about, and I want to be clear, people are still talking to me about this is the juvenile detention center. This is completely opposite of the juvenile detention center. This point of what used to be called the Juvenile Assessment Center, now the Youth Assessment Program, to make it as simple as I can, to keep kids out of the Juvenile Detention Center. That's the point of the Youth Assessment Program. And working with many nonprofits and different organizations to make this happen, as Mr. Condon just said, is a huge win. And to work with our youth and provide assistance to them and their families and support systems to get them away from being in detention is the key to this. And I'm so thankful for everybody that's come to the table over the last year. We've spent a lot of time at that brown thing in front of me, talking, discussing how we're going to do this, how we're going to make it happen, et cetera, and all. And believe me, this is a complicated thing, but through a lot of work by a lot of folks that have been talked about already, and then the council's commitment to put some money up so everybody else can play along and make this happen is a win that probably as big a wins as we've had lately. This one's really big and probably leading that effort. So thank you for allowing me to talk. I appreciate it, and I just, this is a big deal. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, and thank you for your work. Next, we have items, next we have purchases from $10,000 to $50,000. We don't read each of those out loud, but they are listed here on the agenda for your information. And now I'll ask Alderman Miller to please set our agenda.
Mr. Chair and Mr. Mayor, I move that we set items 1 and 3 for the consent agenda, item 2 for the discussion agenda.
There's a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And that will conclude finance, Your Honor.
Thank you, Alderman Condon. Next item, we have couple items under ordinances, resolutions, and motions. So I'll take these. First one, is there a motion for suspension of the rules to vote on these items?
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Brian, roll call for suspension of the rules.
Dunn.
Yes.
Dorman.
Yes.
Jobson.
Yes.
Grip.
Yes.
Ambrose. McGinnis.
Yes.
Condon.
Yes.
And Miller.
Yes.
8 yeses, Your Honor.
Very good. The rules are suspended. So we have a resolution of support, first item to discuss, for the Quad Cities Chamber application to the U.S. Small Business Administration for the Community Navigator Pilot Program. Is there any public with comment? Seeing none, may I entertain a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, there's a motion and a second to approve the resolution. Any other discussion? Alderman Miller? No, I'm sorry. Okay, thank you. Anybody else?
You're good.
Leave it there. Nope.
One more.
Thank you.
Very good.
Roger that. Okay, seeing none, Brian, please call the roll on the resolution.
Dunn.
Yes.
Miller.
Yes.
Condon.
Yes.
Ambrose. Jobson. McGinnis.
Yes.
Dorman.
Yes.
And Grip.
Yes.
8 yeses, Your Honor.
Very good. The resolution is adopted. The next item is a resolution of support for a workforce housing tax credit application to the state for the Hiller Building Project located at 314 Gaines Street and approving a URTE application for the same. Is there any public with comment? Seeing none, will an alderman move the resolution?
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, Brian, please call the roll for this resolution.
Jobson,
Yes.
Ambrose, Miller,
Yes.
McGinnis,
Abstain.
Grip,
Yes.
Dunn,
Yes.
Condon,
Yes.
and Dorman.
Yes.
7 yeses and 1 abstention, Your Honor.
Very good. That resolution is adopted. The next item, is there any public with business? If there is, please step to the podium. The microphone's above you. Any item other than what was on the agenda, you'll have 5 minutes. Please, we ask your name, ward or address. If you're not from here, we'd love to know where you're from. Again, 5 minutes. Thank you.
Thanks for the opportunity to speak. Bill Handel, Ward 4, also Nashville, Tennessee. Again, I've showed this to you before, but I really haven't had a time to go into detail. But this is a plan that I come up with that I think is very doable, that answers a lot of the questions that we're seeing. I'm calling it the Riverwalk, and it ties all the downtown parks together and creates an amenity, not unlike a very large version of the promenade that's in the middle of Vanderveer Park right now, which is so highly regarded. Over the weekend, I had the opportunity to host a buddy of mine from California, grew up in Davenport, and we had breakfast, and his sister and her fiance live in deepest Bettendorf, let me put it that way. And where did we meet after breakfast? Well, I suggested we meet at Vanderveer Park, and so we showed up. The weather, of course, couldn't have been better. And we showed up at the fountain. We saw the grand promenade in the middle of the park, and we sat down and we had a great 2 hours catching up and talking about it. And Chris, his sister and her fiance, were just looking at each other. They just could not believe it. They'd driven by Vanderveer Park a million times and said, "I can't believe this." They said, "This is a wonder. This is a wonder," and it is, and nobody knows about it. And perhaps let's see. Maybe what we want to do is we've got the greatest parks department in the country, I think. Maybe we can get our parks department people to do the promenade, the great promenade, to connect our downtown, the river, to these areas. Like you see this green band right here. But I presented it, and if we had a healthy city, don't you think somebody would have called me up? Don't you think somebody would have said, "Bill, what are you coming up with? We appreciate what you're doing. It may be crazy, but there's a lot of good, maybe there's some good things that we can incorporate." But I hear things about surveys online and 500 responses. I don't know what that means. Is it a 50-question survey that 10 people answered? What is it? Let's get into the details of it. Those details are important. Davenport, as I said in the past, it's a very proud city, and some people think it's the greatest city in the U.S. And well, in my heart, it is, and maybe it can be, and maybe its spirit can be the greatest in the country, but it isn't. It is not the greatest city in this country. We talk about Rock Island versus Davenport. They're twin cities right across from each other. So let's look at 10 years ago in Rock Island's city council. They had very similar platitudes, of economic development, neighborhood development, vision, strong, resilient city. And what did they do? They spent $10 million on the Black Hawk Plaza renovation, tore everything down, remediated it. They took out the businesses, built brand new businesses for the ones that were displaced, $10 million for a future Walmart. Everybody and the council thought it was a great idea. Walmart didn't, and anybody with a little bit of business sense would have said, this is never going to happen. It's on the west end of Rock Island. There's nobody there of the demographic. You know, as an architect, as a designer, as a planner, I have not been impressed with anything I've seen, and that includes the latest version of the destruction of River Vision that RDG and the Downtown Partnership and the FIGA came up with 2 years ago. And if there were people that got involved in it that are here, fine, but it never had the kind of participation that both of the River Visions had. So let's not say that we're calling out for a playground at this area. River Vision never called out for a children's playground. A children's playground is for that 10% of the population that uses it. We've got a children's playground in the spray park. That needs to be renovated and enhanced. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hannah. Anyone else?
How you doing, Mayor? My name's Willie Shorter. I would like for you to hear something. Well, this right here, you get a hold
Willie,
of
I know where you live, but if you'd say it for the record.
I live at 501 West 3rd, Heritage Building.
Thank you.
And you told me about audio, right? Well, I have over 30 audios where I've been complaining about what's going on in my building for years. So I want to play this for you.
Assuming it doesn't call anybody bad names, I'm
No,
good.
it don't do none of that.
Roger that.
And I want to make this statement first. I tried to come over here in 2015, 2016 to talk to Bruce Gould. He would never come out and talk to me. And every time we go to a meeting in my building, every time I bring up these issues, nobody want to hear it. Now, y'all go home, wash your clothes, and y'all don't have to worry about dog feces. We do. So that's why I want you to hear this.
You know where people talk to you now, though.
Huh?
I just said, you know people talk to you now, though.
Say what?
You said nobody talks to you. I'm just saying nobody.
Yeah, oh, okay. Okay, listen to this.
Then if you guys did not replace furniture, then why do then people have permission to come in and touch our things in our apartment? That don't sound right. If y'all not gonna replace our furniture, then nobody should be able to come in there, like no other companies should not be able to come in there and put powder and mess with our furniture and do those sorts of things. Like last time I got pictures of it where they came in and ransacked my whole bedroom. But there was nothing that I could do about it. But see, what I'm trying to say, Destiny, when I was explaining myself to the officer, you was smiling. Like it's funny about what these people is doing to us in this building, and it's a very serious matter. It's a very serious issue, because one of these days you don't know what a person's going through, and they're going to snap. That's all I'm trying to say. All right, okay. I addressed it.
I have about 30
We done that, and nobody's still not doing anything about it. That's the reason I had to go get another lawyer that's not working with the city, because the city keeps slamming doors and hiding the issue. And that's what the city is doing. They hiding this issue. When that flood happened down there, everybody ran to their rescue. At the same time, there was elderly people in here being mistreated, being racial slurs and everything that's going on. That's that crap what Roy DeWitt did, harassing people outside their apartments. But that's I know that's the issue that y'all don't want to address. That's the issue that nobody never want to talk about, on how the tenants is being treated in this building. So okay then, I understand. I ain't got nothing else to say.
So basically, what I'm trying to prove my point here. I've been talking about Roy DeWitt from 2015. 2015. I got every meeting that we go, in every meeting that we go through in our building about the chief there, everybody's there. Every time I bring this up, no one never once talks about it. It was like y'all was sweeping it under the rug. I'm not gonna stop until something is done, because just because you sold this building don't mean I'm gonna go away. And I heard one of you guys say Iowa is a great place to live. Well, not for blacks. because we getting racial profile. Every time we come down here to file out a complaint about something going on, nothing ever's happened. They don't even want to hear what we got to say. So that's why I say Iowa's not good for it. It's not no place for no black person here, woman, man, or child. Because when we come down here to get for some help, we get the deaf ear. That's what we get here. And I also want to let you know, I have in my phone where police has been harassing me and following me, and I wanted to stop. Because when I go and talk to Hood about this, and the lady here, Maria Dinkman, I have in my phone where she made some comments that she should not have made.
Mr. Shorter, don't address this as a body, not individual, please.
Listen, right here, Maria Dinkman.
Mr. Shorter,
Okay.
I'm not going to let you.
Yeah, I know you're not gonna hear, but
Okay.
I got in my phone where she was talking reckless to me through Messenger.
Happy to talk about separately.
No, see, that's the problem. Y'all don't ever want to hear it. Y'all always telling us black folks, you think we're gonna go away. As soon as my black folks wake up in that community up there and really see what y'all doing, because y'all not listening to us. And then policemen is running around harassing us. I got audio where they was chasing cars up and speeding up and down the street all day, but they stopped and messed with an innocent person, and he took off running. And then somebody called the police to come. I have it in my phone. It wasn't even the car. It wasn't even the car that was on the high speed. When they touched the engine, it was cold.
Thank you, Mr.
All
Shorter.
right.
Thank you.
Yeah, enjoy your day, man.
Thank you.
I'll be back Wednesday to let you hear another audio.
Anyone else? Hearing and seeing no one, I'll entertain a motion. Oh, sir? Yeah.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Daryl Brown. I live over in...
I'm sorry, if you can speak up, it's hard to hear.
My name is Daryl Brown, and I live over in Crestwood Apartments. And I just found out today that, we didn't get no extension. Everybody's got to be out by the 1st. And it's like 9 days away. And there's still a lot of families over there that don't know what they're going to do. And I just realized today again that I'm one of them. And, I've never had to ask for any assistance from the city because I pay all my bills and everything. But now it's like I can't even find a place, that's fitted for me and my family. It's totally no housing. Me and my 2 kids, we need a little bit room. We can't do a 1-bedroom or a 2-bedroom. What I'm trying to say is like people like me that's in this situation. I got 9 days and I don't know where to go. It's not the money. It's just either the landlord wants too much money or he's asking for a ridiculous amount of money. And again, the money's not the problem. I'm on a fixed income, and it's hard to get a place. So now, when the 1st comes, what are we gonna do? They're saying that we have to get out on that day, whether we got a place or not. I'm not used to that. I'm a citizen. I pay my bills. I pay, my rent and all that. And it's like there's no help. I don't know what I'm gonna do, and I'm pretty sure there's more families here that don't know what they're gonna do either. Like I was listening earlier. I hear a lot about parks, but I don't hear nothing about nobody remodeling some of these homes out here or these places to help some of these homeless people out. Because there's a lot of them out here. We do need parks too, but what's a park when there ain't no people around? You need houses for the kids to come out, wake up and go to the park. But if ain't nobody, if there's no, it's pretty bad. I mean, you guys know more than me. I mean, like, I'm just like, I hope on the first, we get more assistance or help, I had a place, I told the guy that Salvation Army is gonna help me. Well, he doesn't want to rent from me now, all of a sudden, just like out of the blue. And it's like, I was willing to give him $300 extra because Salvation Army was helping. And, those women over there, they work real hard, they go through a lot. And it's just that the communication is real bad. And so, well, I've been waiting 4 days now to see if someone even actually called to let, call the landlord just to let them know that I'm getting assistance or something. There's no call, and that's like 4 days that I done wasted, I mean, I've been looking, and I have one place out of all Davenport. I don't have $1,300 for a 2-bedroom house, but that's all that's out there. And it's just, I'm worried about myself too, but I'm also worried about the children that I know that lives in the same buildings, the same apartment complex that I am. And after just getting hit with we gotta be out on that day, like, I mean, can we get my security deposit back? Or like, what I'm saying? That's just like throwing us out. And, it's not cool.
Thank you, sir. If you want to stay, I'll talk to you after. Anyone else? Hearing and seeing no one, I'll entertain a motion. Motion is second to adjourn. All in favor? Aye. We're adjourned. Have a good day. Be safe. Drink water. Watch out for the heat.